beloved child, I need you to stop everything you are doing right now and listen to me with the most focused attention you have ever given to anything in your life. What I am about to reveal to you tonight is not just another message of comfort or encouragement. This is an emergency alert from the throne room of heaven about 7 specific disasters that are already in motion and will manifest before Christmas of this year. I see you going through your daily routines, making your holiday plans, thinking about Christmas gifts and family gatherings, unaware that massive disruptions are already being set in motion that will shake the foundations of what most people consider normal life. I see you living as if tomorrow will be just like today, as if the patterns of the past will continue unchanged into the future. But tonight, I am pulling back the veil of time to show you what is already written in the scroll of coming events. I am revealing to you the 7 disasters that are not possibilities or probabilities. They are certainties that are already in motion and cannot be stopped by human intervention. However, they can be survived, and more than survived. They can be turned into opportunities for supernatural provision and divine protection for those who know how to prepare according to my instructions. Listen carefully, my precious one. I am not sharing this information to create fear or panic in your heart. I am sharing it because I love you too much to allow you to be caught unprepared when these events unfold. I am giving you advance warning so that you can position yourself and your family for supernatural protection and provision during the most challenging season this generation has ever experienced. The 7 disasters I am about to reveal are not random acts of nature or unfortunate coincidences. They are birth pangs of the new era that is about to begin, labor pains that signal the imminent arrival of my kingdom on earth. They are divine shakings that will separate what is temporary from what is eternal, what is man-made from what is God-ordained. Each of these 7 disasters carries within it both destruction and opportunity. For those who are unprepared, they will bring loss, fear, and devastation. But for those who receive my advance warning and follow my specific instructions, they will bring supernatural provision, divine protection, and unprecedented opportunities to demonstrate my power to a world that has forgotten how to call upon my name. I want you to understand something crucial before I reveal these 7 disasters. The information I am giving you tonight is not being shared with the general public. The world's emergency management systems are not aware of what is coming. The media is not reporting on these approaching events. Even most of my own people are not receiving this level of specific revelation about the timing and nature of what is about to unfold. You are receiving this information because you have been chosen to be part of my remnant, who will not only survive these disasters, but will thrive during them. You are being prepared to become a source of hope and help to others who will be caught unprepared. You are being equipped to demonstrate that my people do not have to live in fear of disasters when they know how to access supernatural protection and provision. As I reveal each of these 7 disasters, I will also give you specific instructions about how to prepare for them and how to position yourself for supernatural protection. I will show you how to turn each disaster into an opportunity for divine provision. I will teach you how to become a lighthouse of hope in the midst of chaos and confusion. But first, you must make a commitment to me right now. You must commit to taking immediate action on everything I tell you tonight. You must promise me that you will not treat this revelation as interesting information to think about later. You must covenant with me that you will begin implementing my instructions tomorrow morning, not next week or next month. The window of preparation time is rapidly closing. The events I am about to describe are not distant possibilities. They are immediate realities that are already beginning to manifest. Some of them will be fully evident within the next 30 days. Others will unfold over the next 90 days. All 7 will be complete before Christmas morning. I am also going to give you specific signs to watch, for that will confirm the accuracy of what I am telling you tonight. As you see these signs beginning to appear, you will know with absolute certainty that the rest of my revelation is accurate and that you must accelerate your preparations according to my instructions. Are you ready to receive this emergency alert from heaven? Are you prepared to learn what most people will not know until it is too late to prepare? Are you willing to take immediate action on supernatural intelligence that will position you for victory while others experience defeat? Then quiet your heart, open your spirit, and let me show you the 7 disasters that are coming before Christmas and the supernatural survival strategies that will not only protect you, but will position you to be the source of hope and help to others during the most challenging season of this generation. Remember, my child, I am not the author of these disasters, but I am the master of turning every disaster into an opportunity for my people to experience supernatural provision and to demonstrate my power to a world that desperately needs to see evidence that I am still the God who protects and provides for those who trust in me. I see you, my precious child, and I know the growing unease that has been building in your spirit over the past several months. You have sensed that something significant is shifting in the world around you, but you have not been able to identify exactly what is coming or when it will arrive. Let me show you what I observe when I look at the current state of your world and the hearts of my people. I see you watching the news with increasing concern as unusual weather patterns become more frequent and more severe. You have noticed that the storms are more intense, the droughts more prolonged, the floods more devastating than what previous generations experienced. You sense that these are not just natural cycles, but signs of something much larger that is building toward a crescendo of unprecedented events. I see you in grocery stores, and you have begun to notice that certain items are frequently out of stock, that prices are rising faster than your income, that the supply chains you have always taken for granted are becoming increasingly unreliable. You find yourself buying a few extra items each time you shop, not because you are a prepper, but because something in your spirit is telling you that abundance cannot be assumed indefinitely. I see you at gas stations, watching the prices fluctuate wildly from week to week, and you sense that energy costs are about to become a major factor in every aspect of daily life. You have started paying more attention to your utility bills, your heating costs, your transportation expenses, because you can feel that energy scarcity is approaching, even though most people are not yet aware of it. I see you in your workplace, and you have begun to notice increasing instability in employment, in business operations, in the reliability of systems that have functioned smoothly for decades. You sense that the economic foundations that have supported your lifestyle are becoming less secure, but you cannot pinpoint exactly what is causing this instability or when it might reach a tipping point. I see you in your community, and you have observed that people are becoming more anxious, more irritable, more divided than they have been in the past. You sense that social tensions are building towards some kind of breaking point, but you are not sure what event might trigger widespread civil unrest or social breakdown. I see you in your family relationships, and you have noticed that even your closest relatives and friends seem to be living in denial about the obvious signs of instability all around them. When you try to discuss your concerns about preparing for difficult times, they dismiss your worries as unnecessary anxiety or conspiracy thinking. This leaves you feeling isolated and uncertain about whether your perceptions are accurate. I see you spiritually, and you have been experiencing more vivid dreams, more frequent promptings, more urgent impressions that you need to prepare for something significant, but you have not received clear guidance about what specific preparations you should make or what timeline you should follow. I see you financially, and you have been torn between the desire to prepare for hard times and the fear of spending money on preparations that might turn out to be unnecessary. You wonder whether you should invest in emergency supplies, alternative energy sources, food storage, or precious metals, but you are not sure which preparations will actually matter when crisis arrives. I see you physically, and you have noticed that your body is responding to the stress of uncertainty with symptoms like disrupted sleep, digestive problems, tension headaches, and a general sense of fatigue that cannot be explained by your normal activities. Your body is responding to spiritual and emotional stress, even when your mind is trying to stay positive and hopeful. I see you emotionally, carrying a burden of responsibility for your family's welfare that feels heavier than anything you have experienced before. You lie awake at night, wondering if you are doing enough to prepare, if you are taking the right precautions, if you will be able to protect your loved ones when crisis arrives. I see you trying to balance wisdom with faith, preparation with trust, concern with peace. You want to be responsible and prepared, but you do not want to live in fear. You want to trust me completely, but you also want to take practical steps to protect your family. You are struggling to find the right balance between human preparation and divine dependence. I see you watching other believers, and you are confused by how many of them seem completely unaware of the signs that are obvious to you. You wonder if your sensitivity to coming changes is a gift from me, or if it is just anxiety that you need to overcome. You're not sure whether to trust your impressions or to dismiss them as worry. I see you looking at your children, and you are deeply concerned about what kind of world they will inherit. You want to prepare them for challenges without stealing their innocence. You want to teach them practical skills without creating fear in their hearts. You want to give them hope for the future while also preparing them for difficulties. I see you in your local church, and you have noticed that most sermons and Bible studies focus on personal spiritual growth and positive thinking rather than on practical preparation for difficult times. You hunger for biblical teaching about how to navigate crisis, how to access supernatural provision, how to maintain faith during disasters. But these topics are rarely addressed from the pulpit. I see you praying for guidance, asking me to show you what is coming and how to prepare. But you have been frustrated by the lack of specific, actionable revelation. You have received general impressions about the need to prepare, but you have not received the detailed instructions you need to make concrete decisions about what to do and when to do it. My beloved child, every single concern you have is valid. Every impression you have received about coming changes is accurate. Every prompting you have felt about the need to prepare is from my spirit. You are not experiencing anxiety or paranoia. You are experiencing prophetic sensitivity to events that are already in motion and will soon become visible to everyone. The reason you feel isolated in your concerns is that I am giving this level of revelation only to those who have been chosen to be part of my remnant during the coming season of shaking. The reason other believers seem unaware is that they have not been called to the same level of preparations and responsibility that you have been called to. Tonight, I am going to end your uncertainty and give you the specific information you have been seeking. I am going to reveal exactly what is coming, when it will arrive, and how you can prepare for it. I am going to transform your vague concerns into specific action plans and your general anxiety into confident preparation. Now let me show you how I see the 7 disasters that are approaching, because understanding my perspective will completely transform how you prepare for them and how you respond when they arrive. From my eternal viewpoint, these are not random catastrophes or signs of my judgment upon the earth. They are carefully orchestrated events that will accomplish multiple divine purposes simultaneously. When I look at the timeline of human history, I see that every generation faces defining moments that separate those who trust in me from those who trust in earthly systems. The generation of Noah faced the flood. The generation of Moses faced the plagues in Egypt. The generation of Daniel faced the Babylonian captivity. Your generation is about to face the 7 disasters that will determine who will stand and who will fall in the transition to the new era. These 7 disasters are not punishments for sin, though they will expose the consequences of humanity's departure from my ways. They are not evidence that I have lost control of my creation, though they will demonstrate the instability of systems that have been built without my foundation. They are divine instruments that will accomplish my purposes of separation, preparation, and demonstration. The first purpose of these disasters is separation. They will separate those who have built their lives on the rock of my word from those who have built their lives on the sand of human systems. They will separate those who know how to access supernatural provision from those who depend entirely on earthly resources. They will separate those who can hear my voice from those who can only hear the voices of fear and confusion. This separation is not cruel or arbitrary. It is necessary for the establishment of my kingdom on earth. Just as a farmer must separate wheat from chaff, I must separate those who are ready for kingdom responsibility from those who are still dependent on worldly systems. The disasters will accomplish this separation more effectively than any other method. The second purpose of these disasters is preparation. They will prepare my people for the unprecedented level of supernatural provision and protection that will be necessary in the final years before my return. They will prepare my remnant to function as sources of hope and help to others who will be caught unprepared. They will prepare a generation of believers who know how to access heavenly resources when earthly resources fail. Just as I prepared Joseph through years of hardship before he became the provider for Egypt during 7 years of famine, I am preparing my people through these disasters to become providers and protectors for their communities during the greater challenges that lie ahead. The disasters will teach my people skills and faith levels that cannot be learned in times of abundance and ease. The third purpose of these disasters is demonstration. They will demonstrate to the world that my people have access to resources and protection that are not available through earthly systems. They will demonstrate that supernatural provision is real and available to those who know how to access it. They will demonstrate that I am still the God who protects my people in times of trouble. When my people experience supernatural provision during shortages, divine protection during disasters, and supernatural peace during chaos, the world will take notice. Many who have rejected me will reconsider their position when they see the stark difference between those who trust in me and those who trust in earthly systems. Each of the 7 disasters carries specific lessons that my people must learn. The first disaster will teach them about the importance of food security and supernatural provision. The second will teach them about energy independence and divine resources. The third will teach them about the instability of financial systems and the security of heavenly treasures. The fourth will teach them about the importance of community and divine protection. The fifth will teach them about the unreliability of communication systems and the importance of hearing my voice. The sixth will teach them about the limitations of medical systems and the power of divine healing. The seventh will teach them about the temporary nature of earthly governments and the eternal nature of my kingdom. I want you to understand that I am not the author of these disasters in the sense that I am actively causing them. Rather, I am allowing the natural consequences of humanity's choices to unfold in an accelerated timeline. The disasters are the inevitable result of systems that have been built without my foundation, choices that have been made without my guidance, and priorities that have been established without my values. However, I am the master of turning every disaster into an opportunity for my people. What Satan intends for destruction, I will use for construction. What the world sees as catastrophe, my people will experience as opportunity. What appears to be the end of stability will actually be the beginning of a new kind of security based on supernatural provision rather than earthly systems. Throughout history, my people have always thrived during times that destroyed those who trusted in earthly systems. The Israelites experienced supernatural provision during the plagues that devastated Egypt. The early church experienced explosive growth during the persecutions that were intended to destroy it. The believers who trusted in me during the Great Depression experienced supernatural provision while others lost everything. Your generation is about to experience the same principle on a much larger scale. While earthly systems fail and worldly resources become scarce, my people will experience supernatural abundance. While others live in fear and confusion, my people will walk in peace and confidence. While others struggle to survive, my people will thrive and become sources of hope and help to their communities. I am revealing these 7 disasters to you not so you can worry about them, but so you can prepare for them. According to my specific instructions, I am giving you advance warning, so you can position yourself to experience supernatural provision rather than natural shortage, divine protection rather than earthly vulnerability, heavenly peace rather than worldly chaos. The key to thriving during these disasters is understanding that they are not obstacles to overcome, but opportunities to experience levels of supernatural provision and protection that are not available during normal times. They are not problems to solve, but platforms for demonstrating my power to a world that has forgotten how to trust in me. Each disaster will create specific opportunities for my people to demonstrate supernatural resources. When food becomes scarce, my people will have supernatural provision. When energy becomes expensive, my people will have divine alternatives. When financial systems become unstable, my people will have heavenly security. When social order breaks down, my people will have divine protection. When communication systems fail, my people will have direct access to my voice. When medical systems become overwhelmed, my people will have supernatural healing. When governments become unreliable, my people will have the kingdom of heaven. The timing of these disasters is not random. They are scheduled to occur in a specific sequence that will maximize the learning opportunities for my people and the demonstration opportunities for the world. Each disaster will build upon the lessons of the previous one, creating a crescendo of supernatural demonstration that will prepare the way for my return. Core teaching, 15 Onin minutes, 2250 to 700 words. Now, I will reveal to you the 7 specific disasters that are already in motion and will manifest before Christmas, along with the supernatural survival strategies that will not only protect you, but position you to thrive during each crisis. The first disaster, the Great Food Shortage Crisis, manifesting by September 15th. The first disaster that will become fully evident by September 15th is a food shortage crisis unlike anything your generation has experienced. This will not be a temporary supply chain disruption or a regional crop failure. This will be a systematic breakdown of food production and distribution that will affect every grocery store, every restaurant, and every household in your nation. The crisis will begin with seemingly unrelated events. Unusual weather patterns destroying crops in multiple regions simultaneously. Transportation strikes affecting food distribution. Processing plant failures occurring in rapid succession. And international trade disputes disrupting food imports. Within weeks, these separate events will combine to create widespread food shortages that will persist through the winter months. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine pantries, food storage systems that are supernaturally multiplied and divinely protected. This is not just about buying extra food and storing it in your basement. This is about creating storage systems that I can multiply miraculously when natural supplies run out. You must begin immediately to store at least 6 months of food for your family, focusing on items that can be prepared without electricity and that have long shelf lives. But more importantly, you must consecrate your food storage to me and ask me to multiply it supernaturally when shortages occur. You must pray over your stored food regularly and declare that it will be multiplied according to my promise to provide for my people. You must also establish relationships with local farmers and food producers who share your faith and who are willing to participate in supernatural provision networks. I will guide you to believers who are being prepared to become sources of food during the shortage, and I will show you how to create community sharing systems that ensure no one in your network goes hungry. The key to thriving during the food shortage is understanding that I am not limited by natural supply chains. I can multiply food supernaturally, just as I multiplied the loaves and fishes, the widow's oil, and the meal that sustained Elijah. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will never lack food, regardless of what happens to grocery stores and restaurants. The second disaster, the energy crisis cascade, manifesting by October 1st. The second disaster will become fully evident by October 1st, when a cascade of energy system failures creates widespread power outages, fuel shortages, and heating crises just as winter weather begins. This will not be a temporary blackout or a regional power grid failure. This will be a systematic breakdown of energy infrastructure that will affect electricity, natural gas, gasoline, and heating oil supplies simultaneously. The crisis will begin with cyber attacks on power grids, followed by physical attacks on energy infrastructure, combined with international conflicts that disrupt oil and gas supplies. Within days, these events will create a domino effect that leaves millions without reliable power, heat, or transportation fuel during the coldest months of the year. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine energy systems, alternative power sources that are supernaturally enhanced and divinely sustained. This includes solar panels, wind generators, wood stoves, and other renewable energy sources, but it also includes supernatural energy that I provide directly when natural sources fail. You must begin immediately to reduce your dependence on grid electricity and fossil fuels. Install solar panels if possible. Purchase backup generators, acquire wood-burning stoves or fireplaces, and learn to heat and cook with alternative methods. But more importantly, you must ask me to supernaturally enhance the efficiency of your alternative energy sources and to provide divine energy when natural sources are insufficient. You must also learn to pray for supernatural warmth and supernatural fuel multiplication. I can keep you warm in a cold house, just as I kept the 3 Hebrew children cool in the fiery furnace. I can multiply your fuel supplies, just as I multiplied the widow's oil. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will never lack energy, regardless of what happens to power grids and fuel-led supplies. The third disaster, the financial system collapse, manifesting by October 15th. The third disaster will become fully evident by October 15th, when a combination of bank failures, currency devaluation, and market crashes creates a financial system collapse that makes the 2008 crisis look like a minor correction. This will not be a temporary market downturn or a regional banking problem. This will be a systematic breakdown of financial institutions that will affect banks, credit cards, digital payment systems, and retirement accounts simultaneously. The crisis will begin with the failure of several major banks, followed by panic withdrawals that cause additional bank failures, combined with international currency wars that destroy confidence in paper money. Within weeks, these events will create a financial tsunami that wipes out savings accounts, pension funds, and investment portfolios, while making it impossible to access money through normal banking channels. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine treasuries, wealth storage systems that are protected from financial collapse and supernaturally multiplied during economic crisis. This includes precious metals, cryptocurrency, and physical assets, but it also includes supernatural wealth that I provide directly when financial systems fail. You must begin immediately to convert a portion of your savings into physical gold and silver, acquire cryptocurrency wallets, and invest in tangible assets like land, tools, and equipment. But more importantly, you must ask me to supernaturally protect your wealth from financial collapse and to multiply your resources when others are losing theirs. You must also learn to operate in supernatural economics, where I provide for your needs through miraculous means rather than through traditional financial systems. I can supply money supernaturally, just as I provided the coin in the fish's mouth for Peter's tax payment. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will never lack resources regardless of what happens to banks and financial markets. The fourth disaster, the social order breakdown, manifesting by November 1st. The fourth disaster will become fully evident by November 1st, when the combination of food shortages, energy crises, and financial collapse creates widespread civil unrest and social order breakdown. This will not be isolated protests or temporary disturbances. This will be systematic breakdown of law enforcement, emergency services, and social cooperation that will affect every community in your nation. The crisis will begin with protests over food and fuel shortages, escalate into looting and violence, and eventually develop into complete breakdown of normal social order as people become desperate to survive. Police departments will be overwhelmed, emergency services will be unable to respond, and normal community cooperation will be replaced by fear and suspicion. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine communities, networks of believers who are protected by supernatural peace and divine order, even when chaos surrounds them. This includes physical security measures and community cooperation, but it also includes supernatural protection that I provide directly when human systems fail. You must begin immediately to build relationships with other believers in your area who understand the need for mutual protection and support. Form neighborhood watch groups, establish communication networks, and create mutual aid agreements. But more importantly, you must ask me to establish supernatural peace around your community and to provide divine protection when human security systems fail. You must also learn to pray for supernatural invisibility and divine favor that will protect you from violence and crime. I can hide you from those who would harm you, just as I hid the Israelites from Pharaoh's army. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will live in safety regardless of what happens to law enforcement and social order. The fifth disaster, the communication system failure, manifesting by November 15th though. The fifth disaster will become fully evident by November 15th, when a combination of cyber attacks, infrastructure failures, and electromagnetic disturbances creates widespread communication system failures that affect internet, cell phones, and traditional media simultaneously. This will not be temporary outages or regional service disruptions. This will be systematic breakdown of communication networks that will leave people unable to contact family members, access information, or coordinate responses to the other disasters. The crisis will begin with cyber attacks on internet infrastructure, followed by physical attacks on cell towers, combined with solar flares or electromagnetic pulse events that damage electronic equipment. Within days, these events will create a communication blackout that leaves communities isolated and unable to access news, emergency broadcasts, or coordination with authorities. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine communication networks, spiritual communication systems that function when electronic systems fail. This includes amateur radio equipment and other alternative communication methods, but it also includes supernatural communication that I provide directly when human systems fail. You must begin immediately to learn alternative communication methods like amateur radio, establish communication plans with family members and community networks, and create information sharing systems that do not depend on internet or cell phone networks. But more importantly, you must develop your ability to hear my voice directly and to receive supernatural communication when human networks fail. You must also learn to pray for supernatural communications and divine coordination that will keep you connected with those you need to reach. I can communicate with you directly through dreams, visions, and spiritual impressions, just as I communicated with my people throughout history. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will never lack communication, regardless of what happens to electronic networks. The sixth disaster, the healthcare system collapse, manifesting by December 1st. The sixth disaster will become fully evident by December 1st, when the combination of the previous 5 disasters creates a healthcare system collapse that affects hospitals, clinics, pharmacies, and medical supply chains simultaneously. This will not be temporary shortages or regional medical emergencies. This will be systematic breakdown of healthcare infrastructure that will leave people unable to access medical care, prescription medications, or emergency treatment. The crisis will begin with healthcare workers unable to reach their jobs due to transportation and communication failures, followed by medical supply shortages caused by the previous disasters, combined with overwhelming demand from people injured or made ill by the crisis conditions. Within weeks, these events will create a medical emergency that affects every person who depends on regular health care or prescription medications. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine health systems, supernatural healing and health maintenance that function when medical systems fail. This includes natural medicine, first aid training, and alternative health practices, but it also includes supernatural healing that I provide directly when human medicine fails. You must begin immediately to learn natural healing methods, acquire first aid supplies and training, and reduce your dependence on prescription medications where possible. But more importantly, you must develop your faith for supernatural healing and learn to pray with authority for divine health when medical systems fail. You must also learn to pray for supernatural immunity and divine protection from disease and injury. I can heal you supernaturally, just as I healed the sick throughout the Gospels. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will maintain perfect health regardless of what happens to hospitals and medical systems. The seventh disaster, the government authority crisis, manifesting by December 15th. The seventh and final disaster will become fully evident by December 15th, when the combination of all previous disasters creates a government authority crisis that affects federal, state, and local government functions simultaneously. This will not be political disagreements or temporary leadership changes. This will be systematic breakdown of governmental authority that will leave communities without effective leadership, law enforcement, or emergency services. The crisis will begin with government officials unable to perform their duties due to the previous disasters, followed by complete breakdown of government communication and coordination systems, combined with loss of public confidence in governmental authority. Within days, these events will create a power vacuum that leaves communities to govern themselves according to whatever leadership emerges locally. The supernatural survival strategy for this disaster is establishing what I call divine government, kingdom authority, and supernatural leadership that function when human governments fail. This includes local leadership networks and community cooperation, but it also includes supernatural authority that I provide directly when human leadership fails. You must begin immediately to develop leadership skills and to build relationships with other believers who can provide wise counsel and spiritual authority. Learn to make decisions based on my guidance rather than government regulations, and prepare to function independently of government services. But more importantly, you must learn to exercise spiritual authority and to lead others according to kingdom principles when human authority fails. When you combine practical preparation with supernatural faith, you will live under divine government, regardless of what happens to human political systems. You will experience the peace and order of my kingdom, even when earthly kingdoms are in chaos. Now, I will give you specific detailed action steps that you must begin implementing immediately to prepare for these 7 disasters. These are not suggestions or recommendations. These are urgent instructions that will determine whether you experienced supernatural provision and protection, or whether you are caught unprepared when these events unfold. Immediate actions, complete by August 15th. Within the next 2 weeks, you must complete several critical preparations that will form the foundation of your supernatural survival strategy. These actions cannot be delayed or postponed because the window of preparation time is rapidly closing. First, you must establish your divine pantry by purchasing at least a 3-month supply of non-perishable food for every member of your household. Focus on items that can be prepared without electricity: canned goods, dried beans and rice, pasta, peanut butter, crackers, and other shelf-stable items. But do not just buy food and store it. You must consecrate your food storage to me through prayer and ask me to multiply it supernaturally when shortages occur. Create a dedicated storage space in your home where you can organize your food supplies systematically. Label everything with purchase dates and rotation schedules. But more importantly, pray over your food storage regularly and declare that it will be multiplied according to my promise to provide for my people during times of famine. Second, you must begin establishing alternative energy sources by purchasing at least basic backup power systems. This might include portable solar panels, a small generator, battery banks, and LED lighting systems. If you have the resources, invest in larger solar installations or whole house generators. But remember that your goal is not just to have backup power. Your goal is to create energy systems that I can enhance supernaturally when grid power fails. Install these systems immediately and test them regularly to ensure they function properly. But also pray over your energy systems and ask me to multiply their efficiency and extend their capacity beyond their natural limitations. Third, you must convert at least 20% of your liquid savings into physical precious metals and cryptocurrency. Visit local coin dealers to purchase gold and silver coins and establish cryptocurrency wallets with multiple types of digital currencies. But do not trust in these alternative currencies as your ultimate security. Trust in me to provide supernatural wealth when all earthly currencies fail. Store your precious metals in secure locations and keep your cryptocurrency access information in multiple safe places. But also pray over your wealth storage and ask me to protect it from theft, loss, or devaluation. Intermediate actions complete by September 15th. During the month of September, you must complete several additional preparations that will position you for supernatural protection and provision during the disasters that will begin manifesting. First, you must establish your divine community network by identifying and connecting with other believers in your area who understand the need for mutual support and protection. Organize regular meetings with these believers to discuss preparation strategies, share resources, and coordinate mutual aid plans. Create communication networks that do not depend on internet or cell phone systems. This might include amateur radio equipment, walkie-talkies, or simple signal systems. But more importantly, establish regular prayer meetings where your group can seek my guidance collectively and receive supernatural communication when human systems fail. Develop security protocols for your community that include neighborhood watch schedules, emergency response plans, and mutual protection agreements. But remember that your ultimate security comes from me, not from human security measures. Second, you must expand your divine pantry to include at least a 6-month supply of food for your household. And you must learn food preservation and preparation methods that do not require electricity. Learn to can foods, dehydrate fruits and vegetables, and prepare meals using alternative cooking methods. Establish relationships with local farmers and food producers who can provide fresh foods when grocery stores are empty. Consider starting a garden if you have space, or participating in community garden projects. But remember that your ultimate provision comes from me, not from your own food production efforts. Third, you must reduce your dependence on prescription medications by learning natural health alternatives and building your faith for supernatural healing. Consult with healthcare providers about gradually reducing medications where possible, and learn about natural remedies that can address common health issues. Build a comprehensive first aid kit and learn basic medical skills that will enable you to treat injuries and illnesses when professional medical care is not available. But remember that your ultimate health comes from me, not from human medical knowledge. Advanced actions complete by October 15th. During the month of October, you must complete the most sophisticated preparations that will enable you to not just survive the disasters, but to thrive during them. and become a source of help to others. First, you must establish alternative income sources that do not depend on traditional employment or financial systems. This might include developing skills in trades like plumbing, electrical work, or mechanical repair that will be in high demand during the disasters. It might include creating small businesses that provide essential services to your community. Learn to barter and trade using goods and services rather than money. Develop relationships with people who have complementary skills and resources. But remember that your ultimate provision comes from me, not from your own business efforts. Second, you must master alternative communication methods by obtaining and learning to use amateur radio equipment, establishing communication protocols with your community network, and developing information sharing systems that function without internet or cell phone networks. Create multiple communication backup plans so that you can maintain contact with family members and community networks regardless of which systems fail. But remember that your ultimate communication comes from me through prayer and spiritual discernment. Third, you must develop leadership skills and spiritual authority that will enable you to guide others through the disasters. Study biblical principles of leadership, learn conflict resolution skills, and practice making decisions under pressure. Establish yourself as a trusted source of wisdom and guidance in your community so that others will look to you for leadership when government authority fails. But remember that your ultimate authority comes from me, not from your own leadership abilities. Final actions complete by November 15th. During the month of November, you must complete the final preparations that will position you to demonstrate supernatural provision and protection to others who are experiencing the disasters without preparation. First, you must establish what I call overflow systems, preparation levels that exceed your own family's needs so that you can provide for others who are caught unprepared. This includes extra food storage, additional energy systems, surplus medical supplies, and excess resources that you can share with neighbors and community members who are in need. Create organized systems for distributing these surplus resources to others in ways that demonstrate my love and power. Develop criteria for determining who receives help and how much help they receive. But remember that your goal is not just to help others survive. Your goal is to demonstrate my power and draw others to faith in me. Second, you must develop what I call testimony systems, organized ways of sharing your experiences of supernatural provision and protection with others who are witnessing your success during the disasters. Prepare to explain how you knew to prepare, how you accessed supernatural resources, and how others can experience the same provision and protection. Create simple, clear presentations that explain the spiritual principles behind supernatural survival. Develop teaching materials that help others understand how to access divine provision and protection. But remember that your testimony is not about your own wisdom or preparation. It is about my power and faithfulness. Third, you must establish what I call discipleship systems, organized ways of teaching others how to hear my voice, access supernatural provision, and walk in divine protection. Prepare to mentor new believers who come to faith through witnessing your supernatural survival, and develop training programs that teach practical and spiritual survival skills. Create small group structures that can accommodate large numbers of new believers who will be seeking spiritual guidance during the disasters. Develop curriculum that teaches both practical preparation skills and spiritual principles. But remember that your goal is not just to create survivors. Your goal is to create disciples who can teach others to access supernatural provision and protection. Ongoing actions continue through December 31st. Throughout the entire period of the 7 disasters, you must maintain several ongoing practices that will sustain your supernatural provision and protection while positioning you to help others. First, you must maintain daily prayer and worship practices that keep you connected to me and sensitive to my guidance. Spend at least 1 hour each day in prayer, Bible study, and worship, regardless of how chaotic external circumstances become. Second, you must maintain regular communication with your divine community network through prayer meetings, mutual aid activities, and coordinated responses to the disasters. Meet with your community group at least twice per week throughout the disaster period. Third, you must maintain detailed records of your experiences of supernatural provisions and protection so that you can share accurate testimonies with others and write detailed accounts that can be used to teach future generations. Fourth, you must maintain generous sharing of your resources with others who are in need, always remembering that my provision multiplies when it is shared rather than hoarded. My precious child, you have now received the most comprehensive emergency alert that heaven has ever released to a single generation. You know exactly what is coming, when it will arrive, and how to prepare for it. You have been given supernatural survival strategies that will not only protect you and your family, but will position you to become a source of hope and help to others during the most challenging season this world has ever experienced. The 7 disasters I have revealed to you are not distant possibilities or vague predictions. They are specific events that are already in motion and will manifest exactly as I have described. Within the next 30 days, you will begin to see the first signs of these disasters appearing in your world. Within 90 days, you will be living in the midst of all 7 disasters simultaneously. But you won't be living as a victim of these disasters. You will be living as a demonstration of supernatural provision to you and divine protection. While others experience shortage, you will experience abundance. While others live in fear, you will walk in peace. While others struggle to survive, you will thrive and become a lighthouse of hope in a world full of darkness. Remember that these disasters are not evidence that I have abandoned my creation. They are evidence that I am preparing to demonstrate my power in ways that will cause even unbelievers to acknowledge that there is a God in heaven who protects and provides for his people. Your supernatural survival will become a testimony that draws thousands to faith in me. The preparations I have given you are not just practical steps to ensure your physical survival. They are spiritual disciplines that will develop your faith, increase your dependence on me, and prepare you for the unprecedented level of supernatural provision that will be necessary in the years ahead. Each preparation you make is also a declaration of faith that I will fulfill my promises to provide for my people. Do not be overwhelmed by the scope of what I have asked you to do. Take one step at a time, complete one preparation at a time, and trust me to provide the resources and guidance you need for each stage of preparation. I will not give you more than you can handle, and I will provide everything you need to complete the preparations I have assigned to you. Do not be discouraged if family members or friends think you are overreacting or preparing unnecessarily. Remember that I am giving this level of revelation only to those who have been chosen to be part of my remnant during this season. Others will understand the wisdom of your preparations only after the disasters begin to manifest. Do not be afraid of the disasters themselves. Remember that I am the master of turning every disaster into an opportunity for my people. What appears to be destruction will become construction. What seems like ending will become beginning. What looks like loss will become gain for those who trust in me. As you implement these preparations, you will discover that your relationship with me becomes deeper and more intimate than ever before. You will learn to hear my voice more clearly, to trust my guidance more completely, and to depend on my provision more fully. The disasters will become the catalyst for spiritual growth that could not have occurred in any other way. You will also discover that your relationships with other believers become stronger and more meaningful as you work together to prepare for and navigate through these disasters. The community networks you establish will become models of kingdom living that will continue long after the disasters have passed. Most importantly, you will discover that your testimony of supernatural provision and protection becomes a powerful tool for evangelism and discipleship. Thousands of people will come to faith in me through witnessing your supernatural survival, and many of them will become strong believers who will help establish my kingdom on earth. The window of preparation time is rapidly closing. You must begin implementing these instructions immediately, not next week or next month. Every day you delay reduces your preparation time and increases your vulnerability when the disasters begin to manifest. But I want you to know that you are not facing these challenges alone. I am with you every step of the way. I will guide you through each preparation, provide the resources you need, and give you supernatural wisdom for every decision you must make. Come back tomorrow night. I will have another urgent message for your heart about the supernatural opportunities that will emerge from these disasters. Until then, remember this truth. You are my beloved child, and I have chosen you to demonstrate my power during the most challenging and the most glorious season in human history. I love you with an everlasting love, and my provision for you is as certain as my love for you. Rest in this truth tonight, and wake up tomorrow ready to begin the most important preparations of your life.